Jonathan says, I take mild cannabis edibles for my ADHD. On them, I have wonderful quiet times in prayer and Bible study. Would it be rightly dividing scripture to say this is how I personally am being sober-minded? Jonathan, I don't understand all these drugs that well. But I have to say that from at least my perspective, and I'd encourage you, actually do some research on this and get some other opinions about it too, okay? But here's my honest, unfiltered perspective, is that what you share here sounds potentially problematic because of what I know about false religions. It is not uncommon at all for other religions false religions to use drugs, various drugs of various strengths, as a way of supplementing genuine spiritual experiences. Smoking peyote and looking into the fire as a way of feeling like you're connecting with the Great Spirit. Okay, like I got a buddy who did this when we were like 18, 17. And he saw a vision and stuff like that. And it was a drug-induced vision. He felt like he had a real spiritual experience. I've known people, I knew a guy who apostatized, left the faith, and then he would go into these sensory deprivation tanks and he would use mushrooms or mushroom-derived drugs. And he thought he was having real, genuine spiritual experiences. And he said it was great. He said it was awesome. But in reality, it was like a serious problem. It was not genuine. It was like a way of misleading him. Shaman in other religions and village shaman have been using drugs for a long time to try to invoke experiences in people. So when you're like, hey, when I use a little bit of drugs, I have my quiet times. Maybe that's how I get spiritual and sober-minded. And I get that you're not saying, here's where I want to be cautious. You are not saying here, I have these visions, right? So maybe the amount of cannabis, you say I take mild cannabis edibles. Here's the limit of my knowledge. I don't know what mild cannabis edibles mean for your body and your chemistry and your mind and how it affects you. Maybe it truly just helps you stay focused and calm. And that's the only effect it has. And it doesn't lend itself towards manufactured spiritual experiences. Okay, then maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's nothing wrong there. I think that alcohol can be taken in moderation, and theoretically, you could take something like cannabis in moderation. I say theoretically because I highly doubt that this ever happens, or that it happens very often. Even for people who they think that they're fine. I think I'm fine. Look, I've met a lot of stoners. I've got a lot of use of various substances in my family growing up. Okay, I've seen all sorts of things, and none of them thought they had a problem. So I'm so hesitant to open the door to this sort of thing. But I also recognize that but in principle, a small enough dose of lots of different types of things could just be positive without sort of leading to these negative consequences, negative mental effects. But I don't know enough about the chemistry to answer that question, to be honest. So I'm concerned hearing your question. I don't exactly know how to apply it into your life. I'll present the principles there. And say it gives me reason for concern. That's about as good as it gets, man. Look, I'm just one guy. I do believe that one thing that we should agree on here, whether you agree with my opinion about these things or not, Christians are called to be sober-minded. A sober mind means you would pass a sobriety test. A sober mind means that your thoughts are your own and that your inhibitions are all intact. So those types of things, yeah, we absolutely have to have. I'm concerned for other reasons about these issues that I don't fully know the answers. I know I've seen people move towards schizophrenia because of cannabis, but that doesn't mean that everybody will who has it or something like that. So it's just deeply concerning. It's I don't want to take good medical uses away. I wonder if there's a non-THC version of it that you could take. I had a friend who worked at a clinic where they gave out cannabis products for medical purposes, right? And she said that there's a non-THC version, but none of the clients wanted that. They all wanted the one with THC, and it would have the same medical benefit in this particular case, whatever it was, but they all wanted the THC one. And this tells me that even if I was to affirm medicinal use, I have to be aware that there's all kinds of people who are like, yeah, it's medicinal. Then they just do what they want. And now they feel like they have an excuse. And so I'm even cautious in how much I say that out loud, because while I believe it's a true category, I believe it's an abused category. All right. God give us wisdom.